What up YouTube, and welcome to your first PHP video tutorial. Before we begin, I would like to give a few words. I deleted all the tutorials off of my channel. I just did not feel they were up to par. I've looked at other people's tutorials, they were just much better. I decided to restart them. I got a better mic, I got a better computer. I just want to go ahead and just restart it and do my best, give it my all this time instead of doing it half-assed. That's all I really wanted to say. Sorry for deleting it. Hopefully you guys will like these more. I decided to put more time and more effort into it. I just hope you enjoy it. This is all for you guys, and just really want you guys to learn, because I know how it is, to struggle learning PHP. So this is what these tutorials are for. In this lesson, we're going to be going over PHP tags. We're going to be going over how to save PHP pages. We're going to be going over how to input in HTML inside of PHP, what the semicolon is for, and white space. In this tutorial, I'm assuming you know basic HTML, and I'm also assuming you have a web server set up or somewhere to where you can do your PHP at. I will be making a web server download tutorial, so it'll probably be in the description. Make sure you check there. That will be your first tutorial. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing you need to know in PHP is the tags. So what are the tags? Well, at the very top of my PHP page, you'll see that I have this. And then at the very bottom, you'll see that I have this. Just like HTML, the browser needs to know that you're doing, well, PHP. So what you have to do is you have to use the opening and the closing tag. The opening tag being PHP, and the closing tag being a question mark and a, I think that is a less than bracket. I'm not sure. One of those two. It's either less than or greater than. I think that's less than. Or I don't know. Anyway, it'd be that bracket. Now, PHP can also be called like this, without the PHP, but not a lot of people use that. It's called the shorthand method. Not a lot of people like to use that. I've heard that it has difficulties on difficulties working on some kind of operating systems and something like that. I don't know the specifics behind it. I just would not encourage using it myself. So basically, everything inside of these tags will be known. Everything inside of these two tags will be considered PHP. And if you try to do any code outside of these tags, they will not be considered PHP, and you'll get a nasty error. So that's that. Let's move on to saving PHP pages. At the very top, you probably see up here it says 1.php, and that is a PHP page, because at the end the extension is .php. Just like HTML, you would have .html or .htm. For this, you would have .php. So let's make a new PHP page. So I'm going to go File, New, and as you can see, we have a new page. So let's save it as. Actually, let's go ahead and rename this. If it'll rename. Okay, so we'll go to rename, and we'll name it 2.php, or how about test.php? Yes. Let's go ahead and open that one instead of making a whole. Let's not do it like that. Let's drag it up here. Yeah, it's not letting me do it. I'll just delete it. We'll just do just ignore that. We'll just do it as we were. So we'll make a new page, call it test.php, and now it's been renamed to test.php. So now it's a PHP page. So let's write some PHP, and don't worry about this. I'll explain all of this later in this tutorial. Hello world. Okay. So let's go up to our browser and let's go to, test.php, and we see hello, sorry about that, hello world. And as we can see, it just echoes out hello world, and that's it. So the PHP worked correctly, because all I wanted to happen was it to echo out hello world. So what exactly would happen if it was not a PHP page? So let's go up here and let's rename this. Let's rename it test.text. Okay, now let's reload this page as text.text. Test.text. And as you see, we get the full outcome of the page. We don't get just the PHP, or we don't get just hello world. We get everything. For example, let's put some random code in, some random letters in here, and let's refresh the page. We get everything. But if it was a PHP page, instead of getting everything, we would get, let's reload test.php, we would get errors, because it's a PHP page now. So that is how you would work pages in PHP, or save a page. Now, to access the pages, as you probably know, you would go to your server, and mine is inside of the folder named tuts for tutorials, and the page extension is test.php, so I would go to test.php. So, say I went to 1.php, which is our other page, I would simply type in up here 1.php, and I would get hello, I am HTML. And that's because I didn't save the code. I would really get nothing now that the code is saved and there's nothing here. I was doing some testing earlier. Let me go ahead and close these. These are for Code Igniter I've been working with. So that is how you would do that. Files, save files, and access files in your web host. So let's close this page. We don't need this. Now let's do some fun stuff and let's write our first PHP code. Let's echo. Now what is echo? Well, echo is basically telling your browser that we want to output something. So echo is kind of like HTML's paragraphs tags as you're outputting a paragraph, but you can output anything with echo, not just paragraph tags. So don't get confused like that. I just use the paragraph tags as an example. Next, we're going to use two of these colons, these single colons and a semicolon. Now, the single colons, there's to output HTML, they have to be wrapped inside of these single colons. So any HTML needs to be inside of these single colons. The HTML cannot be outside of the colons. And to end it, just add a semicolon. We will get into the semicolon right after that. Now, how would we start our HTML? Simply enough, there's nothing you need to do. Just start your HTML. So let's try... Let's just put some regular HTML. HTML, head, body. Let's see, body, head, HTML. And inside the body we'll have paragraphed, hello, I am HTML. So now we have PHP outputting HTML. What would happen? So let's refresh the page and we have hello, I am HTML. So that is how you would output HTML inside of PHP. Now, what is the semicolon for? Well, the semicolon tells PHP that you are done with that command. So you might not understand it. Well, I thought the opening and closing tags were telling PHP that you were, I thought the closing tag was telling PHP you were done with PHP. Well, it is, but what about specific commands? I mean, you're not going to have one output, are you? For example, let's get rid of this semicolon and let's output a string. We will get into strings in a later tutorial. Just roll with it. This is just an example. Let's output hello, I am a string. Okay. Wait. But now we have an echo and we have another echo. So where will this echo, how will this echo or this output know when this command is done with? It won't. It will come over here and it will also try to read this because there's no semicolons anywhere. How will it know where one command stops and where one finishes? It won't. So let's save it and see what happens. PHP gives us a nasty error. It says expecting a comma or a semicolon on line 19. Over here we have line 19. So it just doesn't know where to stop. So semicolons need to be after every command every time. And if you forget it, PHP will give you a nasty error, and it keeps a lot of programmers up at nights because sometimes they're just programming and programming, and they have all these lines of code and they forget one semicolon and it just messes them up. So let's go over our very last part of the tutorial, and let me check how much time we have. Okay, we are doing good. And the very last part of our tutorial is white space. Now, imagine you have a lot of HTML. I am completely sure you guys don't want to see it all on just one line. Well, luckily, you don't have to see it on one line. Let's set up our HTML with some conventions. So we'll set up with a little bit of conventions here. We'll keep that like that. let's even bring it to space. Yeah, let's even give it a space just so you can see how extreme it can be edited. Let's bring this over here. Okay, so as you can see, everything's completely just screwed up. Everything's not in a line. Everything's kind of like in a convention for HTML. Everything's on different lines. It's just not on one line. Well, will this work? Well, let's find out. We refresh the page, and yes, it works exactly the same. PHP will not count the white code. It will let you make your code as sloppy or as nice or as neat as you want. And during the tutorials, we'll be going over some neat conventions as well, so that you can keep your code nice, pretty, and neat, and so that others and yourself will be able to read and see what you're doing easily. This has been your very first PHP tutorial. Congratulations, you are a programmer. If you understand this, you are a programmer. I'll see you next time, and make sure to comment, rate, subscribe.